Sitting round the fire, playing games with my sweet. She plays out marshmallow, gosh, that's hard to beat. Oh, how I desire to toast that mallow man, but it keeps on going back to her hand.
Come on now, let's play some more Kana.
We'll smash some s'mores like Hans and Princess Anna. We'll
Lick a Mickey bar to his friendly face, invites you through a smorgasbord of Lord S'more Kana.
Episode 7.
Episode 7. Lucky number 7.
Lucky number 7. Crazy.
Can you believe it?
I can't.
Time flies.
It does fly. Time flies when you're having S'more Kana.
I have some bad news, though.
What?
Yeah. So...
Bad news?
Yeah, I was looking at the rankings for all of the Disney / Lorcana / snack / Disney snack podcasts.
Yeah.
And we've fallen to last place.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
How's that possible?
Well, on the bright side, we're still number 1 also.
Yeah. Okay.
We're doing okay. You know?
First and worst.
Yeah, it's like I was sorting all of the rankings and then I inverted it. You know how you can do that with the filters up the top. I clicked that and then, we were last. But then I clicked it again and we were first, so.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah.
That's a real roller coaster.
Yeah, it was a wild time. I was at once crestfallen and overjoyed.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
We have a lot to talk about.
We have like too much to talk about.
Almost too much. It's so much that we've kind of pivoted on what we thought this episode was going to be. We had this whole episode planned where we are going to talk about synergy and deck building and Snow White and all this cool stuff.
Yeah.
And then Ravensburger hit us with an amazing Lorecast in which so much was announced.
Yeah, there was a lot announced in the Lorecast.
There was almost too much to even consider.
There was so much that we listened to the Lorecast and we were like, that's the next podcast.
Yeah, we were like, we can't talk about anything else after that.
We can't talk about Bruno more like.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Crazy.
We don't want to say too much because we're going to get that.
No.
That'll be the main course for the evening.
Dang. That's a lot to eat.
Yeah, it's going to be a big old family style meal. That'll be our main course and probably our appetizers and our desserts all rolled up in one.
Yeah, that's like when you go to Cinderella's royal table and you can eat breakfast in the castle and they give you everything.
Yeah.
And you leave and you're so full.
It's like, I'll take a Mickey waffle and keep them coming.
That's today, folks. That's what the Lorecast was. The Lorecast just kept on going.
Yeah, so that's going to be our main course. We will cover the Lorecast. We're going to go through it step by step, talk about all of our favorite morsels that were delivered to us on so many silver platters.
Indeed.
And we're having a ball in S'more Kana.
Yeah, we just we've been playing a lot. We just downloaded Pixelborn.
Yeah.
For the first time this week, too. We're kind of dipping our toe into that world, which is fun.
We've held off because, frankly, we've liked playing against each other so much. And we've been able to play so many games in that way on our kitchen table that we didn't feel super compelled to jump into Pixelborn. But, when it starts being really useful, when it's like, we can only build one tier 1 Ruby deck,
Right.
So we've been playing, at any one time, we'll have 3 quote unquote tier 1 decks that can play against each other, but we don't get to play steel against steel or amber against amber. So Pixelborn's great for that.
Right. We only have so many cards.
Yeah. We don't have a double play set yet.
Right. And there's some cool legendaries that we're missing. So that's been cool. Like we made a deck last night with 4 Bell, Strange, but Special, and we
only have 2.
So it was really cool.
Yeah, so enjoying Pixelborn. Probably going to grind some because there's some tournaments coming up that we're going to want to practice for.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. But yeah, we've been having so much fun on S'more Kana, and if you're joining us for the first time, please do go back and listen to some of the back episodes because we don't usually respond to news in the way that we're responding to news on this episode. We tend to kind of do a segment on this thing in Disney or this snack food or this group of cards. So hopefully, if you are joining us, if you're new to S'more Kana, go back and give some of our back catalog a listen. There's not too much of it, so find one that suits your fancy and go for it.
Yeah, give it a taste. We've got it for all kinds. We've got silly episodes. We've got some serious deck buildy episodes. We've got all kinds of stuff to enjoy.
Yeah. Should we hop right into the main course?
Yeah, I'm hungry. Let's get the waiter over here.
Here we are just sipping on some wonderful red wine. It's a Bordeaux blend, Chateau Lacroix Capéro.
Oh, how fancy.
Yeah, 75% Merlot, a little bit of Cab Franc, a little Cab Sav in there. It's delicious, but I think I'm ready to put something more solid in my belly here.
I think so too. And I think it's time that we order a bunch of different plates and have them all come to the table at the same time.
And have every single one of them be delicious and unprecedented.
Yeah, now listener, to just loop you in on this here, when you eat at Cinderella's royal table in the castle in Magic Kingdom, it's family style, which means that they just bring you trays upon never-ending trays of breakfast foods. Like Olive Garden's breadsticks have nothing on Cinderella's royal table.
Nothing at all.
They're like, you're out of Mickey waffles? Here, have more. You're out of bacon? Here, have more. You're all out of pastries? Here, have more. You're all out of Pog juice? Here, have more. What?
And that is kind of what the Lorecast felt like.
Yes.
It was bite after bite after bite, bit of news after bit of news, more and more and more. I mean, I was expecting that to be like maybe like a 30-minute at most stream. And I thought it was going to be, some reveals from the next set, and maybe we'd get like a little bit of news about some of the competitive stuff. The dates, the circuit, whatever they were going to announce. And it ended up being so much more than that.
Yeah, it was like a 3-hour meal.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was really cool. One of the coolest days in Lorcana since we've been a part of it.
Yeah, for sure. Ursula's return.
Yeah. We sort of expected that they would announce the 4th set, right? But to announce so many card reveals, the additions of Encanto to the game, right? The trailer dropping. I mean, when that trailer moved the story forward so much, the Lorcana story. So, I mean, it was chock full. It was so much more than just a set reveal, right? It was so much more than that.
Yeah, it felt massive. And the trailers that we've gotten in the past have been really cool, but they've been kind of short and they don't necessarily like tell you a whole story, where this one felt like it was telling you a whole story. This was, in my opinion, a little more akin to the Hearthstone trailers that you'll see.
Yeah, totally, right? It feels really robust and it really set the tone for the set. It invoked heavy theming for what's to come. Oh, I'm super, super pumped about Ursula's return. That gigantic Ursula. Wow, so cool.
Yeah, she's amazing. And you pointed out something as we were watching the reveal and talking all about it with some of the cards that have hinted at this coming.
Right, like there's been this under the sea, like I kind of thought it was like the flood, right? It was all having to do with the flood. The flood was leaving bits of seaweed behind, but it makes so much more sense now that Ursula has a larger presence in this story. When you look at cards like Detective Mickey, he's scooping up those like bits of pink seaweed.
Right, and now we can tell they're seaweed. Like initially you might think, I always thought it was like a deflated balloon or something, and
intestines.
Yeah, right. I don't know, some kind of goop. But now we know it's all related. It's so cool.
Yeah, really, really cool. Really exciting to see them start building out the world more. I'm excited to see, when they do introduce cards for the Illumineers, right? Like when we get like a Venturo card. Going to be sweet.
Yeah, that's going to be baller. We were at our local gaming store, Diversions, this week, hanging out, making some trades, and we were talking about, the possibility of them making this into some kind of a Disney movie or a Disney series that like is about Lorcana, kind of like an Inception kind of deal there.
Totally. I mean, you see it with Pokemon, right? Where you get the card game starts becoming an entity of its own and having its own stories, right? So I could totally see them making a comic book or an animated series set in the world of Lorcana.
Definitely. That would be awesome.
But let's talk about Encanto for a second.
Ooh, let's talk about how you called it before we watched the Lorecast. You were saying, you know what would be really cool to see? Encanto.
Yeah, well, I mean, we knew it was going to be coming, right? Because they put such an emphasis on Raya, and Raya was the movie that released right before Encanto, right?
Yeah.
So you're thinking like, okay, when they were developing those first sets, Raya was about to release, and they thought Raya was going to be really big. And I would bet that they weren't necessarily sure how Encanto was going to do. And then Encanto, I mean, knocked it out of the park, right? And became probably the most successful Disney movie since Frozen. Yeah. So you knew it was coming. And it was a question of when did they start incorporating Encanto into their development process? And I guess it was about, 4 sets in, because there we go. We get the entire magical family.
Yeah, so cool.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited for those. Really cool designs on some of those characters already. I love that like Felix is a vanilla card.
I love that he exists. I love that he has like maybe 2 lines in the movie.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Yeah, and it's so great that, the Madrigals themselves with their gifts they have these crazy abilities, and then Felix is a vanilla.
Julieta, too. Julieta. So cool that she has her own card. I love her. I want that ability. That's a very Smorkana kind of ability.
Yeah.
A Smorkana kind of card.
For sure. She should be like our official mascot for sure.
Yes. Bruno, you gotta have Bruno.
Well,
Don't talk about it.
yeah. That art's so cool for Bruno.
It's so great.
Love it.
Yeah, gorgeous. Makes sense that he's an amethyst, too.
Yep. A little bit wizardly.
Yep. We got Dolores.
Yep.
We got Louisa.
Louisa just a big, strong Rush character. And I feel like these are almost the vanilla-ish additions. Like they're not super pushed or anything. There's nothing too wild about them. And you get the feeling that they're holding back on some of the super rare or legendary madrigals, or maybe in future sets they'll expand it a little bit.
Definitely.
But it's so great that Mirabelle is the one who kind of binds them together, who gives the support for all of the madrigals at once. That's very flavorful. Love to see that.
Yeah, so fitting. So cool.
Also the opportunity for a really good location card.
Yeah.
I mean, that should be a
Casita has to be a location.
It has to be a very cool location. And hopefully one that it would be really cool to see a mechanic where the location could interact as a character a little bit, because that is such a character. Like maybe if when it's challenged, the challenging character takes damage if they attack. That would be really neat.
Yep. Yeah, the Casita's got to exist. That's going to happen.
Yeah. Did you see the Dreamborn Anna?
OMG. We've gotten one Anna up to this point.
And she's kind of boring.
It's a crime.
Yeah, because she's amazing.
Anna's the best.
What an amazing character with so many cool traits.
Yes, and just because she doesn't sing Let It Go, she doesn't get any of the fun, any of the love.
Right. I mean, she's the protagonist of the movie.
Yes, she saves everybody at the end.
Right.
Well, technically Elsa saves her. But still.
She's the one who's moving it forward and who brings Elsa back, right? Like, to save the day.
Mm-hmm.
The movie doesn't happen without Anna, so it's cool to see the protagonist of the most popular Disney movie in the last 30 years get a card that's playable.
Yeah, the current queen of Arendelle. Yeah.
I did a quick search on Dreamborn just for the hero trait, and it feels like most cards are hero cards.
Yeah.
So her text, it's when she quests, heroes get +1 lore this turn. That kind of feels like it's every character in your deck gets +1 lore. That's going to be a pretty strong ability.
Yeah.
Maybe for an Amber Sapphire lore grabbing princessy kind of deck.
Yeah.
That has wanted to exist. She might bind that together.
Especially with the story that they've set up in Ursula's Return. It's so cool to see that hero versus villain kind of a deal being set up with cards like Anna.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You just want to pair her with Stouthearted.
Yes, of course you do.
It's so cool.
It would be amazing.
Also a hero.
Also a knight.
Yeah.
So baller.
I can't wait to get, Cinderella Stouthearted, this new Dreamborn Anna, and then Goofy Knight for a day.
Yeah. And just own everyone.
Yeah, just a bunch of big old knights.
Yeah, I love it.
Really, really cool. So Ursula's Return is looking really sweet. Already really excited for that set to come out.
And one more chunk that I'm really excited about in Ursula's Return is the brooms.
Yeah, the brooms.
All the broom stuff.
Oh.
We're getting some more broom love up in
Yeah,
here.
because we've been trying brooms.
Yes.
And
Love brooms.
love them, not the strongest.
Sure. Yeah. We love the brooms because they're so cute, but they're not the best deck.
Right. So, it's going to inch one step closer to viability.
So cool. Love that. I love when it feels like the decks that we have and the cards that we have are still going to matter. It's just it's a good feeling that it's not going to be like toss everything else out. This is the cool stuff now.
It's good design, right? Because something that has happened and often does happen in games, like I think Hearthstone's really guilty of this, is every single time a set comes out, it feels like it obviates everything that came before it. So it's nice to see them laying the groundwork for cards to get better, to change in power level as new sets come out.
Yeah, definitely.
Really, really cool. PSA, if you're trying to put Pooh Honey Wizard in a deck, it should be your broom deck because he's a sorcerer.
Yeah.
And if you don't put Pooh Honey Wizard in your broom deck, regardless of his power level, then I don't want to play against you.
Yeah, you're doing something wrong.
You're doing it wrong.
We don't want to be a part of that business.
Would most other cards be better? No.
No. No way.
No way. Other news from the Lorecast, because there was a lot.
So much.
How about this co-op set?
OMG. We love a co-op.
We love it. For a little bit of context, we play a good amount of the Lord of the Rings LCG, living card game, published by Fantasy Flight. That is an entirely co-op card game. And the way they publish it is basically like, instead of booster packs, every so often they'll publish a pack of cards wherein you get a full play set of every card. Within that, we'll have every pack would have like a new quest that you could play, right? So it's almost like little mini expansions every so often. So we love that game.
Yeah, that was, our whole COVID lockdown was just that for like a year.
Yeah, and it's really fun.
So fun.
The challenge of it, getting to bang our heads against some of the more difficult quests in that game, like we had a great time trying to figure out those puzzles.
Yeah, just getting to chat about it together. Especially as someone who is just learning card games like this, it was really nice being on the same team as someone else and getting to figure it out. And I'm hopeful that this will get more people into Lorcana for that same reason, that they don't have to go it alone. They don't have to sweat about like, I don't know what comes next and is it draw, set, what is it? They can play with somebody and kind of play, open-handed with a pal and just try to solve the mystery here,
Yeah, absolutely. I can think of so many occasions where I've taught people card games and almost like, not to make them guinea pigs, but when you look at the rate at which those folks want to continue the game versus whether they win or lose early on in their playing careers,
right?
There's a sharp dichotomy, right? Like if they do well early on, it makes them want to play so much more. So I'm totally in agreement with you that like being able to sit down with somebody and conquer a challenge together will be such a better gateway into TCGs. I'm so excited that this product is going to exist. Like, I'm excited to play it with you for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm really, really glad that they're doing it for the longevity of the game.
No, I think it's only a good thing. I can't wait.
Yeah. Now, I'm super excited that within this, apparently, there is like a hidden prize.
Right.
Right. So you get like this little pack of sealed cards, and that they're not going to tell folks what is in those packs until the product releases, I guess. So like we can grab that on launch day, sit down, play it, and if we beat it, we can give ourselves the reward of opening like this cool little mystery thing.
It's going to be so cool.
Yeah, really, really cool. I mean, 4 players going to be neat. That'll be really cool to sit down with 4 people, conquer something together. You can play solo.
Yeah.
Give yourself a challenge that way. Apparently, there's going to be increasing difficulty levels, and you want these to be difficult, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if you're familiar with it and you're playing with a pal and you want the challenge, yeah. But I really appreciate that they're not just like, go hard for it and you're not going to be able to figure it out. Blah. There are some Lord of the Rings campaigns that we've done that are like really, really hard.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of nice that the game has those levels. So it's like if you don't want to be punished by the game, you can just like figure it out and feel good.
Yeah, we've had Lord of the Rings quests where like it took us a couple of dozen attempts.
Punishing.
And it took us like tweaking our deck specific to that quest to beat it.
Yeah, definitely. Which is fun. And that's how we want to play, but it's nice that they're like catering to people who might not want that.
Yeah, the ramp up is great. Like there are going to be difficulty levels apparently, right? So, you know, you can start somebody on that first level and get them familiar with the mechanics and then start ramping it up. And then you have that shared joy of overcoming a challenge together. I mean, like, I feel like that's why we're in theater.
Yeah, right?
You know, it's that same feeling of camaraderie.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no real bad feelings when you lose in the same way where you might get somebody frustrated if they're losing in their first league or whatever for weeks on end.
Yeah, exactly.
So co-op, A+ idea, super excited. I'm really confident that they're going to be able to land that plane. I feel like there's precedent within the card game space for co-op success. I'm really pumped.
Yeah, I think it's going to be awesome. Now, the challenge circuit is a brand new thing they brought up too.
Yeah, we've been waiting to see, when are these competitive events going to be? What's this road to the world championship going to be? What will competitive Lorcana look like?
Right. Will it be in Disney World and will we be able to eat a s'mores while we're playing Lorcana?
And while we weren't able to answer that specific question, many, many other questions were answered.
Ugh. I kept waiting over the 3-hour meal. I was like, and now say you're going to be in Epcot with Lorcana.
We still don't know where Worlds is going to be, so I still am holding out hope. But we did get these 6 North American challenge events.
Yeah.
With some amazing prizing.
So cool.
So cool. And just to see that they're pushing Lorcana to be a competitive game is really neat. Like, that's what we wanted, right? Because we weren't sure what their level of commitment was going to be to competitive players. And it seems like they are really, really mindful of those players and want them to be happy playing Lorcana.
Yep, definitely. It felt like the vibe of the whole Lorecast too was so positive, just like it's been when we've been playing Lorcana too. It was really encouraging.
Yeah, I think outside of, a vocal Twitter minority, really, I think it was received really well by pretty much everybody. The one thing that's been a hitch, I mean, we know this today, recording on Sunday, the 512 player cap was too low. And that was foreseen. I think we kind of knew that was going to be a pretty low cap when you look at other card games. That said, they already responded in their Discord page and said, yeah, we needed this data point. We needed the proof. We need to be able to go to, I'm sure higher ups at Hoffensperke and say, hey boss, like, look, this sold out in less than a minute. We probably need to increase the cap. Can we please have more funding for event space?
Right,
And hopefully the boss was, not just like stroking a bald cat
and laughing.
Sometimes I imagine that the boss of Ravensburger is like Blofeld from James Bond.
just evil.
What if we make the cap 512 players only?
And then no one can go? It might be.
Yeah, it might be. That's probably what happened.
We don't know.
Yeah. I mean, if you ask Twitter, that's probably what they
Yeah, no kidding.
But I mean, it's going to get better. We couldn't go to Atlanta anyway. I'm running in a charity road race thing that weekend that I had already committed to. So, that wasn't our plan. We might try to go to Chicago in June. That's what we're setting our sights on, because Chicago is also a really big theater town.
Yeah, and we've actually never been.
And I would love to go and see a play at Steppenwolf,
Yeah,
that would be sick.
It would be really cool. We're gonna shoot our shot. We're gonna do our best to try to nab a ticket. But I'm hopeful for the ones they have yet to announce that hopefully those are yet to be announced, because they're hoping to make them bigger.
Yeah.
And they're waiting for that approval or that go ahead to make those like the bigger kind of conventions.
Right, because there's some kind of system that we are not privy to yet, whereby, high finishes at these challenge events are going to lead to tickets to these unannounced regional things and continentals and or worlds or whatever.
Right.
So yeah, there's still a lot we don't know. The game is so new that, they're going to be growing pains. And I'd much rather see a company that's like, hey, sorry, we know we're having growing pains right now. We're trying to figure it out too. Than a company that like repeatedly does a mediocre job. Like I've had that experience with, I keep thinking about FFG, and I love their games, but when you look at their track record of how they just pull licenses and let competitive play dwindle, I'm more optimistic that Ravensburger is going to grow and do a better job than I am that like Star Wars Unlimited will be around in 2 years.
Yeah, right. We have the faith. We're keeping the faith here.
Yeah. And I think as a piece of evidence, they talked for so long about why they made the decision to go to this new best of two, quote unquote, format. And, they talked about how they did all this play testing with tournament level players, right? And they said, we're going to run these tournaments over and over again. And so it's clear that they're doing homework and they're trying really hard to do what's best for the game. It's just going to take some ironing out.
Yeah, definitely. It was just, like I was just saying, like a really good vibe. You felt supported. Feels like there's a bright future ahead. I cannot wait for Ursula's return. I think it's going to be a blast. And the best of two things sounds awesome. I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, shorter rounds, so like less mentally taxing overall. Really cool. And you'd think that the downside would be that maybe it's more fluky, right? That like the best players won't rise to the top or whatever. But early indications are that that's not the case. Shout out to Knive of Knives Nerd Corner, who did an analysis from the biggest online tournament, from the latest pack tournament. And Knive took all of the data, all of the match data, and cross-referenced it with how the standings would look if it had been a best of two, quote unquote. And it turned out that the standings were over 75% the exact same.
Oh, wow.
So it really wouldn't have affected too much in terms of like good players progressing and, lesser experienced players not advancing. So I'm really optimistic about it. I think it's all upside. It solves the coin flip issue. It makes your days a lot easier. I'm a huge fan of this format.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great.
And that's without having played it. I maybe will hate it.
That's anything. Someone could advertise a very tasty treat and it has all the ingredients you like, and you might not like it, but you're probably going to like that cake.
Yeah, like cupcake milkshakes.
Yeah. Wait, what?
Yeah, I love cupcakes and I love milkshakes. And
but you don't love the cupcake on top of the milkshake.
Exactly.
I thought you meant a cupcake flavored milkshake, and I was like, hold on. Where is that, and where did you hear about it?
But yeah.
Overall, like, really cool.
Yeah, super, super cool. I think that the game's looking like it's in a great spot. I am imbued with confidence after that Lorecast.
Return.
Ursula's return.
Ursula's return.
Uh-oh, Ursula's back.
And she's returned.
And she's bigger now.
And she's gonna eat you. So she's probably got the trident, right?
Yeah.
That's what we can assume is happening here?
Yeah.
It's her return, so like she came back?
She has some new trident or something.
Is she Born of the Flood?
Something I don't quite know that I'm curious about is like this Ursula is a glimmer also, right?
Right.
Drawn by somebody.
Right.
Is
That's
that-
a good point.
So like I'm wondering if there is some other nefarious force that is kind of puppeteering this whole situation. And so Ursula is our first, the boss of the first level. But I'm wondering if we're going to start seeing layers peeled back here and we're going to learn more and more about who's behind all of this.
Like some kind of dark Illumineer.
Yeah, the Dark Illumineer.
Ooh.
We'll have to do like a lore deep dive at some point because I would love to go back and look at every piece of data that we have and try to string together the story.
Yeah, definitely.
Ursula's Return, y'all. First Lorecast in the books. Love it.
Whoop, whoop.
Well, that was a feast. That was a feast.
Delicioso.
So much food, so much to digest.
Let's get ourselves a little after dinner mint on our way out
I
today.
think a mint is about all I could handle after that
Mhm.
feast of news.
Definitely. It seems like you've cooked up a lovely amber dream card for us.
Yeah, just a little minty morsel on your way out the door.
Yummo.
Here we have a song, a 4-cost inkable amber song called Colors of the Wind.
Ooh, I'm a big fan. Pocahontas is my favorite Disney movie, so I am a big fan of this card already.
I really can't wait for them to add Pocahontas to the game. You know it's coming.
Oh man, I can't wait.
Yeah. Now, this is a song, so it can be sung in the normal fashion. And the text is, draw a card for each ink color on characters in play.
Yeah.
Now, there's no other card like this, so I'm not sure about the templating, right? Like, I don't know if it lines up with what they would want to do, but the gist of it is that if there's an amber character, a sapphire character, and a ruby character in play, meaning, yes, it counts your opponent's characters, then you could draw 3 cards with Colors of the Wind. Yeah? So I think it's cool relative to Friends on the Other Side, for example, which is, it's always draw 2 for 3. So this one costs 1 more in a color that loves to sing.
Yes.
But the upside is that you could draw up to 4 cards with it. On the downside, if there's only one kind of ink color on the board, then it will only draw you 1 card, right? So it's kind of a little bit more of a boom or bust card. But I really like the interplay where like you would want to play a character of a different color or wait till your opponent has a couple of different color characters on the board. And we also made this a common.
Yeah, I like that it's a common. I was just going to say that. I like that it'll be more available.
Yeah, accessible, right? Like I like when card draw generally isn't gated for players because you want to see more cards. You want to play cards. It's not a fun experience to sit there top decking, right? So for new players, just dishing out commons that can draw cards, I think is super important.
You can own the cards and still all you'll own is cards until you can paint with all the card draw of the wind.
Wow.
There it is.
Beautiful.
Folks. All right. What a delicious time we had tonight.
Delicious. I'm just taking my last sips of our Bordeaux blend here.
Oui.
Feeling a little warm, full, sated, as it were.
Yes, we're definitely sated from this lovely Lorecast that we just ate up all over again with all of you.
Yeah, really, really exciting stuff. Now, next time, like we said, we're going to get into our special Snow White Synergy episode.
Yeah, that's going to be a big one. Really excited for that.
And we're going to talk about the state of the meta a little bit. We've been having so much fun. The meta's been evolving, revolving, changing, adapting, morphing.
Oh, morphing.
So lots of fun strategy to talk. I think I'm going to play a whole bunch of a deck that has both Mufasa and Perdita in it this week.
Yeah, I'm excited to dive back into brooms. again this week. I love the brooms so much.
Yeah.
We also just got our hands on Belle for the first time from TCG Player, which we talked about last episode too. We got 2 Belles, and it's been just so cool to play with those. I've wanted to play with those since we knew that the card existed. So it's been really cool to like incorporate those into a deck and play around with how she works. And we've got 4 Grandma Talas now that we can't wait to play with. We just opened another Grandma Tala this weekend. Like, I'm really, really lately feeling the Sapphire.
Yeah.
And it just feels like it's a meta where you can still experiment with things. It doesn't feel like there's anything I'm going to play that's like just going to be a terrible game. Like, even if I massively lose, it's because I'm playing with really fun characters that I want to play with, and it feels good.
I mean, I've been playing a lot of my my pet airfoil deck. This Emerald Ruby concoction, and even that deck, like, it feels like it can win games against tier 1 decks, you know? And so the gap between the tier 1 decks and the tier 3 decks isn't that big, and you can take games for sure with a quote-unquote tier 3 deck.
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot of fun. We have our own tiers here at home in our kitchen on our whiteboard, and we just keep moving them around and updating them. And we have a lot of fun playing a tier 1 against a tier 3, or a tier 2 against a tier 3, or 2 tier 2s against each other, and see which one wins out.
Every now and then you can like take our stupid Titans deck and pull off a win against like Popsicle.
Yeah, and it feels so good.
yeah, it feels like you worked for it. So we're going to mess around with a whole bunch of builds this week. Have a good time. Might go to a 2K in Manchester, New Hampshire next weekend. I hope that works out because that would be fun.
Yeah, that's going to be a blast. Can't wait to hear about that.
So we have lots of work on Snow White to do, some deck prepping to do.
Yeah.
And be on the lookout for, I guess, some more spoilers because Ursula's return isn't that far away now.
We got to start a countdown.
One more thing. Don't worry about if you didn't get tickets to Atlanta. It's sad, but you know what? There'll be more. There are going to be at least 5 more in North America just this year. So in the meantime, enjoy your local scene. Get somebody new involved in the game. Get a family member or friend involved, and relax and have a good time with Lorcana.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Keep on snacking out there.
Keep on snacking, y'all.